So we have already created your character, right? Your investigator.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about Xena? Remind me what her deal is.
Okay. Um, so I'm an engineer. I'm 45 years old, and I live in Boston, but I was born in Brooklyn, as you can tell. And I like to fix things. I like to make things. I like to learn things.
Great. Great.
That's me.
All right. So the game we're going to play today revolves around exploring a haunted house. Okay?
Okay.
So at some point you're going to want to do that, right? So we're going to, remember I told you, like, we're going to learn about the house, right? We're going to investigate, right? And then at some point where a normal person would say, the hell with this, and run away,
Okay.
right? Xena's going to keep going,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
So we're gonna go headlong into some kind of doom.
Okay.
All
Sounds
right?
good.
On board for doom?
Sure.
Okay. So it is March 3rd, 1920 in Boston. You stand in front of an aging, abandoned brick house. There are newer office buildings on either side. They bury the old house in shadows, as though the neighborhood wants to be rid of it. The house seems to withdraw into those shadows. Its windows are blank, curtained, closed off to the street. There is no opportunity to see what lies within. The house holds tight to its secrets. But now we're going to flash back to a couple of days before and find out why you're here and what you've managed to learn before you got there.
Okay.
So now, it's a couple of days ago, 1920, and you're at Parker's Restaurant at the Parker House Hotel.
I know that place.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, what do you like to get there?
Famous. Parker House Rolls.
That's right.
That's what it's famous
That's
for.
exactly right. And it's busy when you're there. You're there at lunchtime. It's filled with well-off diners. There's old money. There's new money. Gold accents on the bar. Gold accents on the menus. Some seats are reserved for the esteemed regular patrons. And today they're showcasing their recent invention, the Boston cream pie. So you're sitting at a table near the kitchen. It's not a great table, but there's really no bad tables in this place. And you're sitting across from Mr. Stephen Knott. Knott. Yep. And you've met him a couple times before. He owns a couple of properties around Boston, and you've done mechanical work for him. He's had you in to look at some boilers and deal with some tricky stuff for him in the past. But you don't know him real well. But he's called you in today, and you sit down and you're eating a Parker House roll. I don't know what that is.
Parker House roll is a roll that you open it up and you put yummy butter in it.
Oh.
And you eat it hot.
Oh, good.
That's the best way.
All
Then
right.
bring it in a basket with a napkin over it
Yeah.
to keep it hot.
That's exciting.
That's how you do that.
That's exciting. And so he sits you down, and you have to eat a little bit, you chit chat a little bit, and he says, "All right, so I want to tell you why I asked you to come here today.
Okay.
I own a house in central Boston, it's called the Corbett House, and my last tenants, the Macario family, had some kind of tragedy. It was very, very sad. I don't really know the details, but the upshot is that I can't sell or rent the house since then. And I'd like you to kind of dig in and find out what happened to the place. And listen, my wife is a member of the Historical Society around here.
Right.
And she thinks that if we could publish a full and detailed accounting of the house's history, that would really, make things work for her. You know how the ladies of the Historical Societies are. It's not so bad here like it is in Marblehead or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you could put together some research for her that she could publish in the journal, right? That would really be the thing for her.
Okay, Mr. Knott, but are you saying that you need a physical report? Like if there's something wrong with the building itself and that was why the tragedy happened? Because that's what I'm good at, because I'm an engineer,
Yeah, the whole thing, the history,
Okay.
the layout of the place, if there's any faults there.
Okay.
We want to know who owned it. We want to know how because it's an old house. It's
Okay.
not. It's been there. Since God was a child.
Okay.
So find out, if you would, find out everything about it. You could look at the records, look at the history.
Okay.
And then get in there and poke around and see if see what went on there.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have a time limit on this?
No, I mean, you can take your time. A couple days is fine.
Okay.
And he gives you the keys. He gives you the address, and he says, "Here's a $25 cash advance that'll cover your expenses.
Good.
And when you finish, there's another $100 in it for you."
Oh, whoopee! That's wonderful.
So you're racking it up, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice shirt. Where'd you get that?
Well, somebody nice gave it to me.
Oh, who?
Some guy.
Borknick's,
He's recording.
what?
It's recording.
Oh, he's recording.
Okay. So then I have to go get my stuff in order here. Okay. So
Right.
first,
So what do you want to do?
So the first thing, maybe I will go to the city office that has the records and research the records.
Great. So go to the Hall of Records, and it's this big kind of columned building, big open lobby, footsteps echoing as you walk up there. And what kind of stuff are you looking for?
Okay, so I want a record of who owned the building from the time that it was constructed, and what the construction company was, and if there was any renovations, because you have to file for renovations.
Sure. Why don't you make a library use roll?
Okay.
We'll see how long this takes you. So you'll eventually find the information, but with a good roll, you can do it faster.
Okay.
So remember how this works, right? So your library use skill
Times 6 or something
is 75, right?
Right.
So you're going to roll those two 10s, and we're going to try to roll under. So which one of them is the 10s dice? The gray
green.
one? The gray one?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so you want it to be under 75.
All right.
You did it. 57. So
Very
that's a
good.
regular success. And so it's going to take you most of the day to pull the information, but you're going to find a bunch of old articles, and there's a clerk who kind of, like, after you describe what you're looking for,
Right.
they kind of mark the things that you're looking for. And so you get a few articles to look at there. And
Do
you
I
can-
have to do this out loud?
You can. Just giving you some reading material. Don't mind me.
Okay. Oh, goodness.
What do you see in there?
This Mr. Corbett got sued by his neighbors in consequence of his serious habits and inauspicious demeanor. Okay, inauspicious I know, serious I'm not sure. And he has made no statement in response to the lawsuit, and he resides at the Sheaf Street address and purchased it 17 years ago. So,
This was before that.
yes, I figured
Okay.
that. Okay, so he bought it from Mr. Weber after Mr. Weber got ill and wouldn't be able to maintain the house, etc. and the house was newly finished. But the neighbors hope that Mr. Corbett will be a fine addition to the area. Doesn't sound like it. Okay, so look up Sirius. What is that?
Serious? I don't know. Probably like serious,
I'm gonna find it.
but
I'm gonna Google it.
anyway, this is another thing from 1866 now.
Okay. Former neighbors have issued another lawsuit against Walter Corbett posthumously. The terms of his will specified that he was to be buried on the grounds. They do that in Boston?
I guess so.
They don't do that in Brooklyn. Particularly in the basement of the building. Neighbors have raised a lawsuit to prevent the burial from taking place. He died June 20th at his home. He leaves no living relatives and no funeral service was held. So what'd they do? Just stick him in a hole? Okay, well, so that means I should go to the house. And see what's doing there.
You could. You could also look into. You could look into some other things as well. What you doing?
I'm looking up Sirius.
Okay. All right. So that was the lawsuit. All right. There's supposed to be another one, but I don't have it. But it says civil court records. Okay. Court records.
Yeah.
Show that the executor of Walter Corbett's will was the Reverend Michael Thomas, pastor of the Chapel of Contemplation and Church of Our Lord, granter of secrets.
Okay.
And the Register of Churches, which is in the Hall of Records, notes the closure of the Chapel of Contemplation in 1912.
Is he still around, Pastor Thomas?
Well, you can look into it.
Okay.
At the Hall of Records. Would you like to?
Yes, I would.
Okay. So those. So you find some references to criminal court and criminal actions taken against the church, but you would need to go to the police station for those.
Okay. Okay. Let's go to the police station.
Okay. So you walk in there, and how are you going to obtain these records?
I'm going to go talk to the copper at the desk, and because I'm so sweet and charming,
Mm-hmm.
I will prevail upon them to give me my information.
Yeah,
Like this.
and so he's pretty busy. You know, he doesn't want to be anybody's errand boy. But you can be charming at him if you want.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit how you do that.
Okay, so good morning, officer.
Yeah, hi.
I'm in kind of a situation here. I got a job that I have to like vet this house because stuff was going on there that the people that want to buy it don't know about. So I found out that Pastor Thomas of that goodness gracious church got in trouble, and I need to find out if that's got something to do with my house. And if I don't do it, I'm not going to get my bonus. So maybe, if you have a minute, maybe you could tell me where to go to find the information.
So roll. Do you have either psychology? No, you don't have psychology. Do you have spot hidden? Roll spot hidden.
I don't even know where that is.
Right over here.
Oh.
Was that 30?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a 93, so that's not going to work for you.
Okay.
So you don't notice anything exciting, but you
Okay.
can roll charm because you were being charmed.
Okay. That's 56.
Yes. Okay, so that's a 74.
So that's too much.
So you have a couple options. You can spend a whole lot of luck to take it down to the right number, which would be almost, you'd have to spend like 18 luck.
Yeah.
Or you can push the roll. So push the roll means you try a different approach, and if it works, then it works. And if it doesn't work, something particularly bad happens.
Okay.
Or you could just accept the failure and move on to some other thing.
Okay. So, this I didn't want to say anything, officer, but I really need to get this bonus because my brother-in-law is trying to get into the academy, the police academy, and he doesn't have enough money for the uniform. So I was hoping that I could get this bonus and give it to him so he could get the uniform and make a good standing in the academy. But I understand, if you're really busy, but this would really, really help him out, my brother-in-law. So I hope you could help me.
You can roll. You can roll charm again. I mean, you have enough. It should work, right? Hey, there's a 30. There you go.
Where's my charm? So I take away 30?
No. You succeeded.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And so he. Okay. He looks around and he says, "Well, Miss, sorry I was such a hard case before, but it's a bit of a sensitive issue around that crew."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come, I'll give you the folder. You can take a look.
Oh, great.
And but keep it under your hat. Huh? It's not something that the Boston PD likes to talk about.
Okay.
And so he takes you back and gives you a folder, and it talks about there was a secret police raid on the Chapel of Contemplation. It was occasioned by affidavits swearing that members of the church were responsible for the disappearances of neighborhood children. During the raid, 3 policemen and 17 cult members were killed by gunplay or fire.
Wow.
Autopsy reports are singularly lacking detail and uninformative, as though the coroner had not actually performed examinations. Though 54 members of the church were arrested, all but 8 were released. The records hint of illegal intervention in the proceedings by an important local official, offering stories of the battle, the biggest criminal action in the city's history, that never appeared in print. Pastor Michael Thomas was arrested and sentenced to 40 years in prison on 5 counts of second-degree murder. He escaped from prison in 1917 and fled the state.
Wow. 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 Okay. All right. So now, that's probably connected to the serious nonsense that was going on there. Inauspicious, yes, demeanor. And he was a member of that church, so maybe he was... Okay, so I think I have to go look at the house now.
You could.
What else should I do?
Well, we found out kind of the early history of the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't yet know anything about the family that had the tragedy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you don't have to.
No, that's
You
all
can
right.
certainly go to the house.
It'd be good to know what the tragedy was.
Yeah.
So what was their name anyway?
Macario, Macario.
Okay. They're the present owners, right?
Well, they were until somewhat recently.
Yeah. Okay, so we could look in the newspapers.
Sure.
Okay.
So you're going to want to go to the Boston Globe. And let's say now it's probably the next day. Because
Okay.
the previous day you spent most of the time at City Hall. You had a little time with the cops.
Right.
And so now it's the next day.
Right.
Are you staying in town? Do you live in town? You do, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's good. You don't have to run back and forth to a hotel. Anymore.
No.
So you get to the offices of the Globe, and there's the smell of newsprint and coffee. There's a low roar of conversation. There's typing. There's crumpling of papers, muted arguments from behind closed doors, rumpled, unshaven reporters and messengers sprinting back and forth. And you walk in, and you see there's a receptionist there. A little nameplate says Roberta.
Okay. Good morning, Roberta.
Yes, good morning, ma'am. How can I help you?
Well, I need to look up anything having to do with a family named Macario within the last, I don't know, maybe 3 years. Because I'm checking up on possible reasons why their house would not be healthy. We don't like to deal with sick houses.
Well, if it was a couple of years ago, you'd probably have to go down to the morgue.
Yeah. Do you have archives there?
Yeah, well, sorry, yeah, that's in the biz. She taps her nose. In the biz, we call it the morgue.
Because if you call me the morgue, I don't want to be there. So.
Yeah, you probably have to talk to. Let's see. You could probably talk to Phil Dorian. He's the real estate editor.
Okay.
You could probably talk to Artie. I'm sorry to do that to you. Don't tell him I said that. But you could talk to Artie. He's our editor. But yeah, the morgue's not open to the public. But I guess one of them could bring you down there.
Okay, but also, do you have like a lifestyle person? Because maybe it's got something to do with the family itself.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I guess that'd be Marjorie. Yeah, Marjorie Sims. She's our society lady.
Okay, maybe I could talk to her first.
Sure,
if she's available.
Sure. I don't know if we have intercoms in 1920, so I'll take you up there.
Yeah, you don't.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, you don't. You have those things. No.
I could send a pneumatic tube.
Yeah, never mind the pneumatic tubes.
And so she takes you up one flight of stairs and to the back of the room, and there's a little kind of a proto cubicle, right? Just a small desk, and it's piled with wedding invitations and what do you call them? Like coming out parties and all kinds of whatever's going on in the blue book of Boston. And there's a lady there with she looks roughly 170 years old. She's wearing probably her body weight in costume jewelry. Glasses, so thick that she could probably see Venus from where she is. And real tight, like iron hard bun of gray hair.
Yes.
And she looks at you, and I'd like you to roll credit rating to see how she thinks about you on first impression.
Well, I didn't say what I look like.
Oh, what do you look like?
Okay, so I'm like 5'5", and I have Uh, I have light brown hair and a little bob, and I'm wearing a jumper over a corduroy jumper over a white button-down shirt, and I have on loafers.
Okay, but you know that someone of good breeding you can just tell,
Absolutely.
darling, don't you? 22
Is that
on
good?
a 35. That is good.
Oh, good.
So, so she looks at you and doesn't think that you can see her mentally classify you among
Yes.
decent people,
Okay.
right? And so she says, "Yes, good morning, darling. How can I help you?"
Oh, Miss Sims, thank you so much for seeing me. I have a little problem.
What was your name, dear? I'm sorry.
My name is Zena.
Oh, what a lovely name! You wouldn't be
Thank you.
related. She rattles off
Yeah.
like 5 other people. You know, you're not one of theirs, are you?
I don't know. I don't think my parents knew about that kind of stuff, actually.
Oh well, that's fine. You seem to be doing just fine.
Yeah. So anyway, not to be, rude or cutting you off or anything, but I'm trying to find out about a family who lives in a house that I'm tasked to vet because there's been some problems there. I'm an engineer, not too many of us around, lady engineers. So I have to make a good impression on everybody. Otherwise, I won't get any work. So, do you maybe have any information about a family named Macario? Maybe in the last 2 or 3 years?
And her eyes light up. She's that's the Knott's house, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Eleanor.
right.
I saw Eleanor at the historical society meeting, and she was absolutely on fire to get the story of this thing.
Right. That's what I'm trying to do for her. Yes.
Yeah. Well, a lot of luck it'll do her, but that's her problem, not yours, dearie. So here, I'll give you a note, and you take this down to Ruthie. Now, Ruthie's our archivist.
Okay.
And she's a little touched, I think.
Okay.
So you just want to speak slowly around her and use small words.
Okay.
Here, dear. I'll give you this. Tell her I sent you.
Thank you.
And have a good time.
Thanks very much.
And she chuckles to herself as you
Good.
toddle off downstairs.
Doesn't sound like a good start, but okay, we'll see. Okay, so I can go downstairs myself. Nobody has to take me, right?
You can go down by your own,
So
by yourself.
I'm gonna go down right now.
Great. And you walk down, and I mean, you've been in furnace rooms before, and this has that same kind of feeling. You kind of descend some infinite number of steps. It kind of feels like you're descending into hell. Mm-hmm. And at the bottom, sitting behind a desk, kind of half dozing, is this woman, she's very buttoned down, really kind of not as old as Marjorie Sims, but just has this feeling of being kind of dried out and used up. Almost, when she looks up at you and opens her mouth, you kind of expect to see dust and moths fly out of her mouth. It's really dim down here. It's hot from the boiler. This is, you've spent enough time here that it doesn't bother you. Maybe it feels even a little familiar. But it smells of mildew and stale air. And she looks up at you and says, "Yes, good. Is it morning? Is it afternoon? What time is it?
Good morning.
What day is it?"
Good morning, Ruthie. May I call you Ruthie?
I suppose.
Okay. Miss Sims sent me down because she said that you would probably be able to help me. I'm looking for information about a family called Macario, maybe within the last 2-3 years.
So that would be, let's see, who was president? That wasn't Cleveland. No. Well, let's see. I had just been to my nephew's wedding. Darling, ma'am, I'm a little embarrassed, but do you think you could help me look?
Sure, if you point
There's
me in the
there's so
right
much
direction.
here, and you know I've read all of it, and it's sort of all in my head at once.
Okay.
Here, why don't you take that side of the room, and I'll take this side of it, and you know it's just like enormous.
Right. And what am I looking for exactly, Ruthie?
Well, I suppose we might have a vertical file on the name Macario, or perhaps you could look by year, or by the address.
Okay.
You know, it's I've been reading all these wonderful books about organization. I'm a very active member in the Library Sciences Guild, and of course, when I see something new, I just have to try it. So I suppose that not everything is organized the same way.
Uh-huh.
But we'll find it. She pats her hand. We'll find it. Don't worry. Come, let's go. And she kind of creakily stands up and stretches a little bit.
Okay.
And darts off into the darkness. So would you make a library use roll for me?
I think so, yes.
Okay. That is
Less than
46 on a 75.
Yeah.
And so she's, she's like somewhere back in colonial times, mentally, if not physically. But you find it pretty quickly.
Because I looked up the address.
Yeah,
Found
exactly.
the address.
Yeah.
Found the address. And I took out the folder. They come in like file books. Big file books that you have to put on a desk because otherwise you can't hold them. And they have the newspaper articles in them. So as I flip through them, what I wonder do I find?
So you find a couple of things. You find first an unpublished story, one that was spiked by the editor at the time. And then from shortly after that, you find a couple of brief clippings that
Okay.
So the unpublished story is related to the house,
Okay.
and the clippings are related to the Macario family.
Okay, so let's look at the clippings first.
Okay. So there's two of them from recently, maybe 2 years ago or so.
Bloodied madman rampages Cops Hill. Oh boy. Wow. A man covered with blood rushed out of his home, screaming obscenities and babbling about burning eyes. The man was identified as Vittorio Macario, a resident of Sheaf Street in Cops Hill. It is uncertain what exactly happened, but police speculate he fell down a flight or perhaps even out a closed window. How do you fall out a closed window? Police apprehended Mr. Macario after he acquired a knife from a butcher shop and was threatening locals. The arresting officer was unable to make out what he was trying to say. He has been interred into Roxbury Sanitarium, and no charges are being issued against him. All right, that's exciting. Wife of Jews Louise. Wife of madman committed to Roxbury. In a bizarre repeat of last fall's episode where a madman terrorized the streets of the North End, a woman has been institutionalized. The woman is Gabriella Macario, who was committed to Roxbury Sanitarium after she was found huddled on the front steps of her house at 20 Sheaf Street, muttering about burning eyes. Last October, Gabriella's husband burst from his house covered in blood. Oh my goodness. The couple's 2 children are with family in Baltimore. So Mr. and Mrs. Macario are in Roxbury Sanitarium. Whoa. Okay. Burning eyes. Okay, that could be mold.
Could be mold.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
that's what my engineer head says. Okay. The story was not
this
printed
is the unpublished, yep.
because its speculation is beneath the globe. Okay. October 28th.
I don't know what dates these were exactly. These are
1918.
a little after that.
Okay.
Or before.
Something sinister seems to haunt a local Boston house. Whatever it is has destroyed 3 families in the last 40 years. Sight of fear, madness, death, and possibly murder since before the turn of the century. Okay. In 1880, a French family rented the property. A series of violent attacks left both parents dead and their 3 children crippled for life. The house stood vacant for almost 20 years, but in 1909 another family moved in. From the time they moved into the house, Mr. and Mrs. Jones fell prey to illness and sickness, almost as if the house itself were conspiring against them. Sick house. I told you, sick house. Their children did not fare much better, though. All of them lived in the house for several years. The terror reached a head in 1914. The oldest of the Jones children went mad and killed himself with a kitchen knife. The Jones family moved out after that, heartbroken at their loss. Is that the... No, that's the... 3rd family rented the house, but left after less than a month, when all of them became ill at the same time. Is the house haunted? Perhaps there is something wrong with the water, or some disease still lingers there from when it was built. In any case, anyone who dares live there now had better be brave and strong, for they take their lives into their own hands. Okay, so, from what I know, imagine having a phone in the archives. Who's going to find it? Okay. Just from these pieces of information, I think I can report, although I have to go to the house, I guess. But I'll bet you, I'll make my notes here, I'll bet you, since a lot of them had burning eyes, and that guy was buried in the basement, which doesn't help, but it's a really old house. It's a really old house. So I'll bet that there's black mold underneath the house. And now it keeps going in the walls. And then if they buried a guy without a funeral, that probably means he wasn't fixed up by the funeral parlor. So he's rotting under the house. Yuck. And that's more mold and disgusting stuff. And burning eyes. And also it can make you crazy. My mother told me we had an aunt who went nuts. And they found out that in her room, in the back of her closet, there was yucky mold, and it made her crazy. So I'm writing that down.
There it is.
There it is. So now I'm going to go to the house.
All right. We need a break. This is sort of the halfway point of the adventure.
Okay.
Take a break or you want to keep going?
Just...
I built a dream house, cozy little dream house. Happiness is there, hiding everywhere you will find. Regent man is waiting, folks are congregating. All it needs is your yes, I'll do the rest. There's a pretty blue room, cozy bride and groom room. Roses round the door, you will love it more every day. And though it's big enough for you and me, someday there may be tea for three in that little dream house that I built for you.